1 minute for our 7 o'clock p.m. It is now 7 o'clock p.m., and I'd like to call our regular business meeting to order. Commissioner Edwards, do you mind doing our invocation? And then Commissioner Cooper, do you mind doing our Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another day to come together and do the county business. We pray for wisdom, discernment, and we ask that you bless each and every one of us and carry us home safely tonight. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Also, our thought for the day is kindness is a gift everyone can afford to give. Kindness is a gift that everyone can afford to give. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion, and we've all had an opportunity to look at the agenda, call for a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? That motion passed. Thank you. All right, and next we'll have reports from the chairman. There are none because the chairman isn't here. Oh yes, I'm sorry, citizens' comments. I'm skipping ahead. We will take this time to go to citizens' comments. We're gonna ask any citizens if they have any comments. These are for agenda topics only. So if you have any comments that you'd like to make on our agenda topics only, you can actually come at this time, and you have 3 minutes for those comments. Calling again for any citizen comments for agenda topics only. All right, since we have none, we'll move on to reports from the chairman, which there will not be any since our chair is out. Then next we'll have any reports from our interim county manager.
I do not have anything to report out.
Thank you, sir. All right, then we'll move on to item number 8, which is unfinished business. We have 2 items under unfinished business. Item 8A, which is discussion of the Nelson Heights Community Center, and then 8B, which is the discussion of closure pay. I guess I'll give it to our county manager for those discussions.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to kind of circle back to the board of a item that was paused for 60 days, and that time has elapsed back for Nelson Heights Community Center to get guidance from the board on the after-school program that was looked at for that particular community center. We did look at some different proposers that was looking to do some after-school programming for the community center. The question came back up as we did pursue that venture, is that the recommendation from the board per policy now dictates that new 501c3s are capped at $2,500. And most of the proposers were either asking for more than that or would charge the families between $125 and $150 per student per week. So we wanted to get some guidance from the board on how we should proceed and some different options for that particular community center.
All right, we'd like to open it up for discussion at this time. Anyone have any discussion? All right, Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So I know, James, we've talked about, we've kicked around a lot of ideas in meetings, even just one-on-one and two-on-one with you. But, you know, I know that Washington Street does elementary age students. Am I correct in saying that?
That's correct.
So the need may be for the next step up, maybe middle to high school, and have we explored the option of maybe Washington Street expanding their scope of work to include those next next age group?
I don't think we have. Not correct. No, so we initially talked to Washington Street for a different perspective on the Nelson Heights Community Center, but not specifically for older age kids.
Okay, so, Vice Chair, if I may. So, and you tried to gauge their interest in any type of programming there. So there was no, they have no wish to expand. Is that the?
That's correct.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, we had talked, and I think, what's the name of that group of young ladies that came from Washington Street that were handling, at least I thought was handling the kids that were a little bit older at Washington Street, who wanted to move their 501c3 to Nelson Heights, and it would include, I guess, the similar or the same program that they were doing at Washington Street. And their thinking was for moving it, it was because they didn't have enough room in order to fit some of the kids, I guess, that was being bused in or brought in, to including the kids, excuse me, at Nelson Heights too as well, and to bring on some, I think a couple of people, Ms. Camp and Ms. Maddie, two people that the kids knew, so they would bring them all in and tutor them. So we thought there was a good plan, but I don't know. After 3 years of being closed down without any plan, we thought that was a better plan. We had looked at church groups. There was no church group that I knew that wanted to come over to Nelson Heights and kind of open that program up, and I guess pay for it by themselves or through their 501c3. And so this what we thought the route we were going was what was the name of that group of young ladies that came here and talked a little bit about it too as well?
I believe that was tailor-made.
Yes, thank you, please. Yeah, tailor-made. And we looked at, there was a good organization, a good 501c3, and they were mentoring and helping out Washington Street too at the same time. And we thought that was a good fit for that particular program. And I'm just going to close with this. 3 years ago, we wanted to, I think the board said we want to do something, and it would be like the next month or two. And it's been about 3 years. And I think the community has been really, really nice. They just kind of asked a little bit for my guidance. And I said, be patient because of the fact that we're going to do something over there sooner or later. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, we'll move to item 8B, discussion of, yes, sir.
I would like to, if I could, would a motion be appropriate?
It's just discussion.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, normally, you can make a motion up, and I asked Patrick if a motion was made, it could be addressed even in just discussion.
Yeah, I know we have it under discussion. We don't have it under a vote.
If the board wants to vote, it would be there. We would need two motions. We would need a motion to amend the agenda to add whatever the motion to be considered is, and if that motion passes, you could then consider the actual motion.
Thank you. So if I could, I would like to make a motion, to add to the agenda for TaylorMade to run this night community center.
All right, so I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? That's what now your motion was to amend the agenda, correct? Okay. Yep. And is there a second? All right, if there is no second, then that motion has failed for support. We'll move on to item 8B, discussion of closure pay. Mr. County Manager.
So again, this one was tabled for 60 days for further discussion and further research from staff of the firefighters not receiving closure pay. We have gone back and done an analysis of past events that was similar to that, and we recommend that we do move forward with paying the firefighters for those closure pay.
All right, thank you. Any discussion based off of that presentation from our county manager about the closure pay? Commissioner Edwards.
Motion to amend the agenda to include a vote on that very topic, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so I have a motion on the floor to amend the agenda to, you said was to vote or to discuss, to vote on the closure pay topic? Okay, and do we have a second? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that amendment has passed. So we'll put that, would that need to be
It'd just be the next item. Yeah, it would
Okay.
be 8C.
okay. So we'll make that item 8C on our agenda.
And
So would that would be consideration basically, right?
that's right, consideration of payment of closure pay.
Okay.
And before you get a motion, I think it's important that we clarify the results of our analysis and sort of flesh out our recommendation. So my office has worked with James and his staff over the past couple of months to try to come up with the most reasonable interpretation of the old closure pay policy as applied to firefighters and other emergency personnel. So there's some language, as we're all aware, there was some language in the closure pay policy that was at best vague. Essentially, the closure pay policy called for public safety employees, for the lack of a better descriptor, to receive pay during the periods in which the county is closed due to an emergency closure. There are two sections of the language that there's one section which would suggest that For instance, firefighters who are working a 24-hour shift would receive pay for their regularly scheduled work hours, which would imply a 24-hour shift, right? That's one interpretation. As you all know, when the county is closed for a day, the county closes from 8 to 5, right? It closes for an 8-hour day. There is a later section in that closure policy that provides that department managers and supervisors are required to maintain a record of the employee's time worked during an emergency closure. That language is important in our mind because it suggests that the amount of time an employee works during the emergency closure matters and is the determining factor. The fact that department heads are required to keep those records, in my mind, tells us that the pay for which people are entitled is the pay that would have accrued during the hours that the county government is closed. In other words, from 8 to 5. So if an employee in any department worked from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the county was closed from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., that employee would be entitled to closure pay from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for those 8 hours. If an employee worked from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., but the county was only closed from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., in my mind, as we've analyzed this policy, the closure pay would be limited to the 8 hours that the county government is closed. The employee would be entitled to their regular pay for the other hours. So our recommendation, and I'm not able to give the number, we talked about the number, but our recommendation is that full-time employees who worked during the period of time during which the county was closed received closure pay for the period of time the county offices are closed, which is 8 to 5. Not necessarily their full 24-hour shift, but the 8 hours during which the county is closed. That, in our mind, accords with what I think is the intent of the policy by having that additional record-keeping requirement. We will also be circulating to you an update of the policy to make that a little more clear. And the policy we're going to recommend is going to have sort of two blocks. You get 8 hours if you're a full-time employee. If you work during the period, if you work between the hours of 8 and 5, you get the full 8 hours. If you're a part-time employee, you get 4 hours. If you are scheduled to work on the day the county is closed. So it simplifies it. It makes sure that there's no windfall for working during a closure period, but also ensures that if you do work during a closure period, you're adequately compensated for that period of time. I'm sure there are questions because it's a hard thing to explain, and I'm happy to try to answer them.
Any questions? Commissioner Cooper.
So what if they actually work over? Because some shifts are 12-hour shift, 16-hour shift, and that's their shift. So we still 8 hours?
They get paid closure pay. They get paid closure pay for the period of time they work between 8 and 5.
Right.
They get their regular pay for the period of time they work after those hours. So the closure pay is limited to those hours that the county administrative offices are closed for an emergency.
So if they work, like you stated, just 8 to 5, then they're only going to get paid the closure pay. But if they work 8 to 8, like you said, then they'll get closure pay between 8 and 5, and then those additional 3 hours will be their regular pay.
That's right.
I think we have is that correct?
Well, that's one of the things that we're looking at. But yes, that is the essence of what that is correct. Yes.
I think Commissioner Edwards, you had.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So I think it's going to be important that it's communicated and well defined what closure is, and what causes the closure. So I think we had one of the incidents in question had something to do with the biolab fires in Conyers, And then we had a couple of ice or snow days that we had personnel working. There may be some need for a definition of essential personnel too. So
And we've defined that. We've defined that to include public safety personnel and other personnel as designated by department heads. Because obviously, you well know, you've got your DOT workers. You may need, depending on the nature of the emergency, you may need some administrative staff or so you're going to have to rely on your management to identify who must be in attendance for a particular closure event. So we've accounted for that by allowing department heads to designate essential employees.
thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Long was next.
I just want to make sure that what we're talking about here is essential employees. So those essential employees would maybe be assigned to a 12-hour shift. That's their shift, and they're coming in anyway because of that 12-hour shift. So the makeup that we're doing is because of what we talked about last time is like, I answer the phones here at the county. I'm at home. I'm not essential personnel, but I'm still getting paid 8 hours. So I think that we're getting confused of whether they have a 12-hour shift and we're only paying them for 8, is because they are essential personnel, but we're also compensating them because everybody else got compensated for a time frame. Did we check and see how other counties handle this policy? Did we get a rundown on that, or ACCG look at that and tell us how it's handled other places?
No, we didn't look, but just from my past experience, it's handled from different municipalities differently. So we discussed it with legal and just come up with something that best fit our staff members for our community.
It sounds like we have it in the policy, but it's not really clear and nobody really understood it.
Yeah,
the way you're reading it, Patrick.
The existing policy kind of contradicts itself in a couple of places, and it does leave a lot of room, which is the reason we're here today. It left reasonable minds disagreed about what that meant.
Yes, Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have we had a conversation with maybe the department heads or possibly, I guess, the first responders, in order just to get an idea of how they're thinking about it and how they feel about it? Have we talked to anybody?
Yes, I actually had an opportunity with Chief Turner to meet with a few of his staff members to discuss the policy as it's currently stated. They had they kind of gave us their breakdown of what the policy is and what they perceive the policy to be. And we took that into consideration as we looked at the current policy, also looked at the past history of payout for those particular employees on the designation of closure for weather events. The last time we had a weather event was 2017, I believe. And correct. Those pretty much all employees that worked on that day during a specific time frame was paid 8 hours. Okay. So, we went back with the history that we've been doing that for those employees.
Okay, so we're talking about the fire department only, or are we talking about the officer, sheriff, and maybe whoever, I guess, whoever else, DO department that goes out and does the road? So we just talking about the fire department? Yes,
we looked at not only the fire department, we looked at officers, sheriffs, and public okay. works. Pretty much any other department, water resources I can, specifically proclaim on. Absolutely. Is that they was all looked at and make sure that we adequately pay, those employees similar to what those employees were doing. So I guess what I was just trying to get at was that shouldn't we have had some type of work session with those employees in order to get from their perspective? Because what I'm thinking is that we're talking about what they should receive or shouldn't receive, and we're not knowing exactly, at least I'm not knowing, I can't put on nobody else, exactly where they come from as for the compensation that they should receive for that particular time or those hours that they are probably in inclement weather or whatever the case may be. And I think we should hear from them
because it's hard for me to make a decision, because I'm not gonna be out there. I'm gonna be at home in this, you know, in a warm house, whether or not they're working. And I think it would be important to hear from their perspective what they think about it.
Yes, well, so what we did was, again, is to meet with those staff members during that particular event, and we really did hear their side. We had pretty much, I think it was an hour and a half conversation with those staff members that, I think was Station 15, on Harris Springs, I think that's what it was. So we did have a conversation with those members that did have the opportunity to come to the board and make their voices heard, and that we wanted to make sure that we did hear their voice and just let them know that we was concerned and wanted to make sure that they're made whole during that process.
And Commissioner, we're not asking you tonight to vote on the
Okay.
on the new policy. What we're asking for is, I think James is telling y'all that he's ready to pull the trigger on the past events. We will present this policy to you as an agenda item, but wanted you to be aware of it before it came to you.
Okay, just in closing, I would just like to just hear from them. You know, maybe if you don't want to have a work session, I guess with the officers, fire department, or the office of the sheriff, you know, maybe they could meet with me individually, because I think it's very important for them to kind of give their side. And I just once again, I close with this: it's two sides to every story, and it would be hard for me to make a decision on what their pay could or could not be, rather than it's, you know, in bad weather, than to hear straight from the people who actually does it, or their representative, which is the officer sheriff for the sheriff department, and the fire chief from the fire department, and others. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion before we move toward a motion? All right, since there is none, I'd like to call for a motion, the consideration of closure pay of 8C. Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I thought we already had a motion in a second.
No, we had a motion to amend the agenda, and so now we have the motion to actually vote on the consideration of the closure pay. And I'm sure there's no additional discussion, correct? All right, so all in favor? That passes 5-0. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I seek a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second? Have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, that passes 5-0. All right, now we move to new business. Item number 10 is a discussion on upcoming Law and Leadership Academy. That will be presented today by Sheriff Ezel Brown. There he is, Sheriff Brown.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I have a document I'd like to pass around. If you can start over there.
And Sheriff, before you actually start, we do have zoning that starts at 7:30, so we have a couple minutes. So if I have to interrupt you, I'll let you know, and then you can come back once we finish zoning at 7:30.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, again, good evening. Be very brief. On April the 8th, we had an organization which was tailor-made to come before the board at 3 o'clock in the afternoon along with my staff. And as I think you mentioned earlier, that this was an upcoming event. Um, I'm here to state that it is actually going on now, this academy. And I think that was somewhat maybe a lack of communication, whether it's on my part or whomever, as it relate to where we are. I learned of where we are just this week. I was talking to the county manager, and I thought that, and again, when TaylorMade presented everything, I was unaware that the max that 501c3 could get at the time, and also some other factors that played a role. And that was the reason why TaylorMade was here with my staff. But I'm here today. This program started on this past Monday, and I guess for lack of better words, the cow is already out of the barn, so we need to try to put him back up. I'm here today asking for the Office of Sheriff to be funded for this program. It's a great program, and Chairman, you said something earlier in your prayer. You mentioned something about the quality of life. Quality of life. And I want you all of you to think about that as we talk, move forward.
Sheriff, would it be okay if we reconvene? It's now 7:30.
Yes, it's
If
fine.
we can reconvene.
I'll come back to the very
Yes,
same-
sir. We'll come
same
right
words,
back.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you. All right. It is now 7:30, and we're going to move into our public zoning. And I'll ask Ms. Applewhite if you can come forward to begin presenting our zoning cases for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Good evening, members of the board.
I'm sorry. Yes, you can go ahead and start. My apologies.
All right, our first petition this evening is an overlay tier change. Case number is OTC 25-0001, located at 5242 Salem Road. The tax ID is 0028019. It's on 5.41 acres. Future land use map is a development node. Current zoning is R2, single family residential. The existing zoning overlay is Salem Overlay Tier 1 residential, and the proposed zoning overlay is a Salem Overlay Tier 2 moderate commercial. This is located in the Yellow River watershed in the established suburban core character area in District 4, and our petitioner is Gladys Lee. And just a brief history, on February, the Planning Commission actually approved an administrative use permit for the same address to have an in-home daycare with up to 6 children. So there is currently an in-home daycare located there. On 5/27, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this current petition to change the tier by a vote of 2-2. It was a tied vote, and the chairman broke the tie in favor of approving the petition. The applicant's intent is to change the property's tier to the Salem Overlay Tier 2, and eventually they'll have to rezone. They would like to rezone it to neighborhood commercial, and then to obtain a conditional use permit for daycare for 7+ children. So essentially it'll become a commercial use at that point, moving from an in-home daycare to it's a regular daycare facility. It's a daycare center. The character area is the established suburban core. It does allow neighborhood commercial zoning. So just to explain what's happening with the tier, so this is the use table from the Salem overlay. So the first box in red at the top, which is what is currently the tier. It's tier 1, and the current zoning is residential. But as you come down to the daycare use for a commercial daycare, that use is not allowed. So property in this position, they would have to actually change the tier or amend the tier to either tier 2 or 3, and then also to rezone to either OI or CN, and then do a conditional use permit in order to have this use at this location. The Where we do have the challenge is that according to section 460130 on administration for tier changes, so any property owner may apply for an amendment to the Newton County Salem Overlay District tiers map. Amendments may request the expansion of a tier, a change in the tier designation, or removal of the tier. And then section A says any property proposed for addition to the overlay shall be adjacent to a property inside the overlay. Said property shall be of equal or lesser tier as compared to the adjoining property inside the overlay. This parcel does not meet this requirement. It is essentially creating an isolated tier or an island. The zoning will also be what we call spot zoning if it were to be rezoned. It is not adjacent to tier 2, right? And you'll see the overlay map as we go ahead. So in conclusion, the request is for a commercial daycare to be located at the property. Currently, there is an in-home daycare that was recently approved by the Planning Commission. The property is residentially zoned and in the Salem Overlay Tier 1. In order to change to a non-commercial commercial daycare, property must be located in Tier 2 of the overlay and have a non-residential zoning. The applicant indicated at the Planning Commission meeting that they work with special needs children and that they have a petting zoo that has come to the property. Given that the proposed tier change to the Salem Tier 2 moderate commercial overlay will create an isolated tier, staff does not recommend or does not support the proposal to change the tier at this time. The request is not contiguous with the nearest Tier 2 for the Salem overlay. The parcel is currently Tier 1, and the nearest tier to it is actually Tier 5. Should the board, however, recommend approval of the tier change request, staff recommends including the following conditions. So should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved for an overlay tier change to the Salem Overlay Tier 2 conditional, subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. So where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and the offerings contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. 1, to the owner's agreement to abide by the following development standards. So compliance with Division 460 of the Salem Overlay of our ordinance, limit the total number of occupants to the occupant load set by the fire marshal. 3, provide a copy of the right from the start state license for the subject location to development services before any business license can be issued, and maintain right from the start state license while in operation. 4, provide a sprinkler inspection to the Newton County Fire Marshal and Development Services, and the inspection must be approved prior to the release of a business license. 5, complete an annual fire inspection. 6, maintain compliance with section 510-210 of the zoning ordinance. 7, prior to any construction, addition, or removal of walls, the applicant must apply for all required building permits. 8, they must have an approved play area surrounded with a 4-foot tall fence before the issuance of a business license. 9, provide appropriate ingress and egress to be approved by GDOT. And 10, obtain environmental health approval before the issuance of the business license. And staff does have an additional condition. It's currently zoned residential. We cannot have farm animals there, or a petting zoo. Other appropriate permits. So this is the parcel we're looking at on Salem Road. That's the aerial view. Current zoning is residential, and all the parcels surrounding it are also residential. There's AR down in the corner here, and we have a CG up this one parcel here. This is the map where that applicant is seeking to amend. Everything in green, including the parcel, is Tier 1 residential. So the parcels adjacent to this parcel are all still Tier 1. They're requesting to go to Tier 2. And this is where it will create an island because there is no contiguous Tier 2 parcel near to it. The future land use map is a development node. It is located in District 4. Current watershed is the Yellow River. This is a survey of the parcel. This is a floor plan as provided by the applicant. And these are pictures that were provided by the applicant of the property. And this is the pictures from the current in-home daycare. So currently the applicant, it is a residential use right now with an in-home daycare. So they're also looking to change that. The other challenge would be, like, they won't be necessarily be able to allow to stay living there if the property becomes commercial, because it's now going to become a commercial center, daycare center. And if there are any questions for staff, if not, Mr. Vice Chair, this is a public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Applewhite. This is a public hearing, so we will allow those in favor to speak. You will have 10 minutes. So if we have anyone here, the applicant or anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this particular case, you can come at this time. You have 10 minutes to speak in favor of this case.
Hello, my name is Gladys Lee. I am the petitioner for the property. I currently, as she says, I have 6 children for in-home daycare, and I have been keeping children. My daycare has been there for, well, not in that property. I was in a different property for 18 years. I've been keeping children. I'm retired law enforcement, and I was a foster parent for 17 years. And the foster children I kept were primarily medically fragile and special needs children. I've had children in my daycare that are in wheelchairs, that, G2 colostomy bag, I do all medically fragile and special needs kids, whether they have autism, ADHD, things of that nature. And one of my parents, she has 3 autistic children, and she drives from Monroe because she cannot find another daycare. So for me, that property, it does have a lot of space. And just like, any family would have a birthday party, they would have a birthday party, they would get a petting zoo or train or horseback riding for the kids. That's what I did at my my fall festival. I had a petting zoo come out for the kids. Everything I do is for the kids and for the community. Like I said, I've been doing this for a very long time. I help as many people as I can, and the way the daycare is sitting, as you can see, there are not many residential houses near me. It's 5.5 acres, and I'm sitting directly in front of an elementary school as well as a middle school. So the area is wide open, and there's another business shortly down, and Walmart is not even a mile away. So it's not completely just residential, but even if so, the schools are zoned residential. I mean, if I could do a daycare and be zoned residential, I could do that, but they said I can't do that. So that's why I'm asking primarily for the change, because it's basically for the residents in the area and for the community and anybody. And I know plenty of foster parents that are, waiting, and I've had parents come across the street from the school because they have older children, and it would be more convenient to bring their little children to me and for me to pick up their other kids, because the economy has changed and people are working different hours, those unconventional hours. They're working on the weekends, and I provide a 24-hour daycare service to provide that for them. So primarily that's what I'm doing. And the property that's marked on your paper with the star, that's not my property. It's the larger one next to it. So I didn't know if they noticed that.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Was that all you had?
That's all I had to say for right now.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you. So we have 7 minutes left. If there's anyone else that would like to come and speak in favor of this zoning case.
Hello, my name is Anna Sullivan. I came to speak in favor of Miss Lee. My 3 children go to her daycare, and she's really become a good friend of mine. She has really taken great care of my children. She loves my children. This is the 3rd meeting like this I've been to. I come speak for her every time because she's so special to our family. This is a second home. She has a home, and this is a second property she bought because it is her lifelong dream to actually have her own daycare beyond just the 6 children that an in-home daycare will allow. It's something that she's poured a lot of money and time into getting her property up to the standards where it needs to be in order to meet all of the requirements. She's willing to do whatever else it takes to get it there. Like she said, the property's on Salem Road, so I don't think that allowing this to go up in tier would really disturb any kind of residential area. She's got neighbors, but they're very spaced out. She's not in the middle of a neighborhood. But like she explained, she takes special needs children. She truly loves children. I believe it is her life's calling to take care of children. And I think allowing her to do this would really help a lot of people. It would help us. And so I just wanted to speak in favor of her because she truly deserves it. So thank you.
Thank you. We have 5 minutes and 31 seconds, 31 minutes and 79 seconds left if anyone wants to come and additionally to speak in favor. I mean 5 minutes, I did say that, 31 seconds. We don't want additional 30 minutes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jasmine. I am actually the daughter of Gladys Lee, her eldest daughter. I was with her when she started the child care, in-home child care when I was 18, was my first job. I just came up here to say things like, my mother is awesome. She's also kind of old school, so you bring your baby to her and they're in diapers, she's like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and start the pull-ups and get them on up, where they need to be. She's gonna make sure that your children are taken care of. She's gonna make sure that you're taken care of. She responds to messages and, at any hours of the evening if you need her help. So it's like, as far as, I do understand that there are policies and things we have to keep into place, but I think that in a lot of communities and cities, we forget about things that actually do matter and make a difference. So, I'm just hoping that even with the ordinances and everything that's going on, that, change is happening in general in the city or in the county rather, and that this is one that can be looked at as something that would be good. Again, the property is huge. The property can fit many children. Can care for like many children. She's already done a lot there. The list of things that's needed, if she was to get approved, I think she has all of them except like one maybe on the list that can be done, just like that. So she's prepared herself to turn this into a facility already, and it wouldn't take much more after you guys approve if you do. That's all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this case tonight? Anyone else that would like to speak in favor? If not, then those that oppose also have the same time. You have 10 minutes if there's anyone that would like to come up and oppose this case or not in favor of this case. You also have 10 minutes to speak in opposition of this case. Is there anyone that would like to oppose? All right, if there's no one that would like to oppose, then that portion of this case is closed. And this is actually in District 4. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Applewhite. This is actually going to be in District 4, so I would like to turn it over to Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, I just want to say this: it's not, in my opinion, too many people who would like to take care of other people's kids. Because I know when my children were small, it was hard. Boy, they were something else. And so just to have somebody who loves kids, all kids, and willing to make a somewhat of a career of helping people with their children's, and especially special needs, ADHD and stuff like that, man, I commend you. I mean, so and it's not too many places that you can take your kids. In fact, there's not too many places open where you can take your kids. And so I think that's a great idea. I think it seemed a little awkward, and I know kind of where we're thinking it, but anytime you can improve our community, our county, I think that we should take that opportunity. So I want to ask a quick question to the county attorney, if I may. My question is this two-piece zone in one, or is just one zoning?
So tonight, all you're approving is the change from Tier 1 to Tier 2. The property owner will have to come back later to rezone to the CN zoning
commercial, yes.
classification and also seek a conditional use permit.
Okay.
So there's going to be 2 more actions, but today is only the change in the tier designation.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Chair, I like to make a motion to approve, as stated by the county attorney.
And I'll second that. Yes. Any discussion?
My question would be, is currently the property, this was a little confusing. She's got 6 kids there now. Is this for 7 more, or is this gonna be 1 more child coming in?
It can be anything over 6 kids. So our in-home daycares are limited to 6 children.
Okay. So is she permitted for a home daycare right now at that location?
Yes, ma'am, she does.
Okay, so she is permitted for a home daycare right now, and she does live in the residence, because she has another home in Newton County also.
That's, yeah, but the use of the home right now is residential. Someone would have to be living there to currently operate that daycare. So she is
So we
living
know
there.
she lives in the home currently?
That is my understanding.
Okay. So, you know, it's hard for me. So when we change a tier like this, are we setting a precedence that other things can change there? I know she's on a big road, she's got big land, and I'm sympathetic to that. And I definitely am sympathetic that somebody's watching children that need to be, we need more people like that. But I just don't know if this is the right location for that. I mean, as a person that lives on a large tract of land on a main road, I don't know that I would want my neighbor to have a daycare next door to me. If it's residential land, okay? So tier 1, so if we make this change, what does that do? Because I know the staff is not recommending us make a change of the tiers.
So this is the map, and just to correct the record, the address is stated correctly at 5242 Salem Road, but it is this parcel here.
Yes, the next one.
But, so this is the map that the applicant is seeking to amend. Currently, everything in green is Tier 1. This is the Tier 5 in orange. But they're requesting to go to a Tier 2. So none of the parcels there's no contiguous Tier 2 parcel that the ordinance would require for this change to be made.
Okay, so the plan, the map that we have here for the floor plan, and it's every room says daycare and then storage and office and stuff like that. Is that the current use? Because you only have, how many pictures do you have of the property? Of the interior?
We have pictures of the daycare section. 4.
Okay. All right. That's all my questions.
I was going to ask too, is this the only property that we have in the county that's similar to this request? Because I believe and you can quote me if I'm incorrect, but I think we may have one similar to this in District 2 as well.
We did do one on Brown Bridge Road.
Yes, on Brown Bridge Road in the Ellingtons. So we have a 24-hour daycare there, and it is a daycare center. It is commercial in the middle of a residential area. That is.
The one on Brown Bridge Road, that was actually, the tier was contiguous. So that was actually next to the tier it needed to go to. It was right adjacent, so we were able to do that one. So that did not create an island.
Okay.
And if the Ellingtons, that is a PUD. There is, so it was already planned to have the daycare in there as part of that mixed-use PUD.
Right.
So those would be the differences between those and this request today.
Okay. And you're right. It was designed to have that daycare there. You're absolutely correct. Okay. But I just wanted to make sure that we clarified that we do have something very similar to this already in another portion of our county. Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Long.
Yeah, very familiar with that. So when they developed the PUD, that was a commercial piece developed inside that development. So kind of different than turning a house into a daycare. So a little different than that. I mean, I think it's great about the daycare and everything. I just don't know. I just want to be really careful we make these tier changes, because we can't go backwards, and then the next person can come in here and say, "Oh, you made this tier change." So we got to be careful.
Any other discussion? So we do have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that passes 4-1. All right, and so we have our second case. Ms. Applewhite, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So our second case this evening is a conditional use permit. It is CUP 25-000005. It is for a funeral home. The location is 72 Chamisa Road, tax ID 0024262. It's located on 2.5 acres. The future land use map is a development node. The current zoning is M1 light industrial, located in the Almond Tier 2 non-residential mixed use overlay. Watershed is Yellow River. Character area is the established suburban core. This is located in District 3. The current owner is shown as Greenleaf Investment Partners, LO78 LLC, and the petitioner is Kenya Stubbs. The Planning Commission approved this funeral home on 5/27, or they recommended approval rather to the board. And again, they were trying to put this is in the Chamisa Industrial Park, where they're trying to locate this funeral home, as stated in the subject site information. The property is surrounded by other industrial and commercial zonings as well. So based on their site plan analysis, the site plan submitted by the applicants to Development Services offers the following considerations. The plan shows 2 existing warehouses on the parcel. The funeral home will occupy one of the existing suites in the 72 Chamisa Road warehouse location. This is the property that's furthest back from the Chamisa Road. And the existing access points are off of Chamisa Road. The site plan also has adequate parking because it's shared parking in the entire industrial park. The proposed site plan meets or exceeds all of the minimum building setbacks as per the property development standards of the Unified Development Ordinance, and any signage will meet the signage requirements for the ordinance in section 450-170, which is the Almond overlay. So in conclusion, the applicant is requesting to locate a funeral home in the Chamisa Industrial Park. This location is in the Almond overlay and requires a conditional use permit, which is why we're here today. The location is appropriate and compatible with adjacent commercial and industrial businesses in the park. There is adequate parking to accommodate funeral services. The applicant has indicated that only viewings will be held there. The actual services will be held at a church or elsewhere, according to the applicant. Visitations would be after hours from 3 to 7 p.m. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use request to establish a funeral home business with the following recommended conditions listed below. So should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved for a conditional use permit for a funeral home, conditional and subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. Where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and offerings contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the board. So 1, to the owner's agreement to abide by the following development standards. A, obtain and maintain an active business license for the funeral home. Prior to any construction, addition, or removal of the walls or signage, the applicant must apply for all the required permits. C, comply with all state codes and obtain any applicable licenses from the state. D, limit the number of total occupants to the occupancy load set by the fire marshal. E, provide a sprinkler inspection to the fire marshal, and this must be done prior to the business license. And also check in with the fire marshal and with regard to the inspections. F, prior to the release of the business license, provide a copy of an approved fire inspection from the fire services. This is a location in the Chamisa Industrial Park. It's this building here. And we have the location for the funeral home. The zoning is M1, light industrial. Almond overlay tier 2. Development node is the future land use map. Yellow River is the watershed, located in District 3. And we have a survey showing the location of the warehouse, a building that they're planning to put that in. And this is actually where it's going to go in this suite down here. And we have the floor layout, shows the chapel, office, restroom area, and lobby. Are there any questions for staff? If not, Mr. Vice Chair, this is also a public hearing.
All right, thank you, Ms. Applewhite. At this time, we'll ask those who are in favor of this case, you have 10 minutes. If the applicant is here or anyone would like to speak in favor of this case, you can come at this time.
Good afternoon to the board, to the commissioners. My name is Robert Ross. I am the chief of staff of Celebration Life Funeral Home, hopefully here in Covington, Georgia. We have a current location in Gray, Georgia, who will be expanding here to the Newton County community, providing quality service at affordable price for the citizen of Newton County and also Covington, Georgia. My wife and I have been in the funeral industry for the last 5 years. We have one location in Gray, Georgia. We are residents here of Newton County. I am employed by the Newton County Board of Education. She is employed by Atlanta Gastrologist as RN in Lithonia, Georgia. So we just want to bring and extend the family here to Covington, Georgia, in this location at 72 Sharmans Drive here in Covington. Okay,
all right, was that it, or did you have any additional information you want to provide?
If you have any questions, consent, I can answer, but other than that, I'm definitely finished. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Do we have anyone else at this time that would like to come and speak in favor of this case? Anyone else that would like to speak in favor? If we can, please silence our cell phones. It seems like they are talking a lot tonight. Talking and ringing and doing all the above. All right, if there's no one else that is coming to speak in favor of this case, we also allow the same opportunity for anyone who'd like to oppose this case as well. So we give them 10 minutes to be able to come. So if there's anyone here that would like to come and speak in opposition of this case, you can do so at this time. Anyone that would like to speak in opposition of this case? All right, seeing as there are none, we're going to close that section of this zoning as well, Ms. Applewhite. And this is in District 3. And so I will refer this to Commissioner Cooper.
Mr. Applewhite, my understanding is, so it's just going to be for viewing purpose only, right?
I'm sorry?
Viewing purpose?
Yes, that's
no services?
Yeah, and the number of people who can attend at any one time, that will be set by the fire marshal, the occupancy load of how many people can be in there at a time.
Okay. All right, well, I'll offer the motion to approve CUP 25-00005, the conditional use permit.
Is there a second? I have a motion and I'm sorry.
Vice Chair, would that be with the recommended conditions?
Yes, would that be with recommended conditions? Because can you state it with recommended conditions?
Yes, with the recommended conditions.
All right, and we still have a second. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any additional discussion? All right, Commissioner Long.
That button. What's the square footage of that section of that building? I'm pretty familiar with those buildings, so what's the square footage of that section? We might need a petitioner to tell us. Because the total bill is like 4,100, and there's 5 sections to that.
Right.
So my calculators come by 825 square feet.
Yeah, that is possible. I don't have the actual square footage here, but there are 5 suites in that particular, well, in all the buildings, but yes.
A total of like 4,100 for the whole building.
I was going to say the applicant is still here, and I think he had a few more minutes, I believe, to answer. He may have that information. If you'd like to come up.
This particular unit that we have in 72 is 2,500 square foot.
Okay, that one's 25, okay, cool.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
I was worried about 800. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other discussion? All right, if there's no additional discussion, all in favor? All right, that passes 5-0.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, Sheriff Brown, we're going to go back to you, if you don't mind coming back. We're going to go back to item number 10 in our agenda, the discussion on upcoming Law and Leadership Academy.
Okay, with me tonight, I have Tommy Haley, who is part of our outreach, community outreach. Also, Tim Smith is a part of our outreach, and I believe there may be some students. There's some students here tonight. Stand up, students. That's just a few of them. There's 80 plus down there now. There's 80 plus down there now. And all of you know the last thing I want to do is come before this board and ask for money. That's the last thing I want to do, especially for my programs. All of the programs that we provide to this community, we raise all the funds. Every penny. We raise every penny. But we do not have the time. As I said, the cows are already out of the barn. The program started on yesterday. And I learned that tailor-made could not be awarded this on Wednesday of this week. Is that right? Wednesday of this week. So therefore, I am here before the board requesting funding for this program. Also, just to keep in mind, is kids is one of my pet peeves, and I think every time we can do something to help a child in this community, we are doing ourselves a great service to this community. We spend money in many other areas, and I think all of the funding, all of the activities, a majority of the activities in this community are sponsored by the Office of Sheriff. And I've never been before you to ask you for anything as it relates to our kids. We just on yesterday show you how involved we are with the community. We swore in 22 young kids on yesterday to be interns there at the Office of Sheriff, because we know if we do not take care of those kids, if they go out and have an idle moment, idle mind in the community, what's going to happen. So what I'm asking for you tonight is you can peruse the documents that I've given you. This program is a 6-week program, Monday through Thursday, 6th grade to 12th grade. And if you would look at the back page, you will see the core curriculum that they are going to get. They're going to learn about the 911 Center. They're going to learn about crime investigation, Rome, K-9, juvenile court, jail tours, emergency preparedness, fire and rescue, life skills workshops. That means building communication, financial, and teamwork skills. Also, the enrichments in life skills, cosmetology, finance, stocks, investment, apple development, music therapy, baseball, ultimate couture, tongue-tied, college and career, fashion, career day, field trips, community leadership. And also, while I was headed over here today, I even had someone to call me to say, I want to teach conflict resolution. I want to teach conflict resolution. Most of our kids that we are faced with today, they do not know how to deal with conflicts. Also, anger management. This person is going to come in and provide anger management. This person is going to also talk about self-control. So what I'm asking of you tonight is small and minute to what the benefits of these kids will get out of it. As I said today, our initial plan, we were hoping to start out with 50, but we had 80 on today. And I want to thank the Board of Education for partnering with us to allow us to use the Indian Creek Middle School to carry this program. I think it's probably going to be one of the first and probably going to be one of the best ways of spending money in this community. All of you know if we got we got 80 kids, and I would believe probably before it's all said and done this week, we're going to probably have 100. Well, that's 100 different kids that will not have an idle mind between 9 and 5 o'clock Monday through Thursday. Monday through Thursday. So I don't think this is asking much. And when TaylorMade and my staff was here on April the 8th, they did not know and was totally unaware of the steps and measures and all that will hinder them from being able to even being considered for the funding. So I'm asking you tonight for this small token of, I think, what is it, $53,000? It's $53,116 is what I'm asking. And all of you know, again, as I said before, the last thing I want to do is come before you and ask you for money. Typically what I do is raise all the money for our events here in this community. And I think with me coming here tonight, speaking on behalf of 80 kids, I think this is something very small and should be something that you should look at carefully. And as you said in your prayer earlier, you was talking about quality of life. So I ask you, each and every last one of you, to think about the quality of life these 80 kids is going to get.
Thank you, Sheriff. This is a discussion item, so anyone has any discussion? Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Sheriff Brown, for bringing this to us. TaylorMade was told at that meeting that we could not fund this for the 501c or whatever. We told them at that meeting that it was a great program, we like it, but we cannot fund it because we're having trouble with everybody wanting us to fund everything. And I understand, you dragging on my heart here, I understand. I'm writing checks left and right for camps and all that kind of stuff too. But we cannot deviate from the program that we have. So my question to the county manager is, we just worked on some budget items for Sheriff Brown's department. And I know that there is money still there in his budget for this cycle. There's money there because we looked at it. And if there's not money there, then we can, I don't know if it's a 6-week program, is that correct? 6 weeks, and it's just started? I don't know if there's a way that we can.
6 week, and I think the program that you're referring to was the after school program.
No, it was 53,116 something.
You sure?
It was 53,000.
Okay.
Because I love TaylorMade, don't get me wrong. I like them, I think they do a good job.
Okay.
I'd like to utilize
But
them
this is for the
more.
office of sheriff now.
Huh?
This is for the office of sheriff.
Right, I understand that. I understand that. I'm fully aware. So I guess, my situation is I don't know how, if they have money, we just looked, right? Correct? So, so really why, it could be an item where they could adjust their budget to cover this.
But right now, I do not remember exactly how much money they had. I know we looked at year to date, but as you may remember, that does continue on by programs and salaries and things of that nature to the end of the year. I don't know.
Which is June 30th, right?
That is correct. I don't remember exactly what the percentage was from year to date, so I have to get back with you if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know, I'm concerned about, super funding something. If he has the money, I don't have a problem with that. They have the money. And because we can't issue the money, we'd issue it to the sheriff's department, though, not TaylorMade, right? Okay.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that is correct. It'll
that's
be
what I'm asking.
to the office of sheriff.
And with all honesty, Commissioner Long, if I knew we had the money, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Okay?
Well, I'm just confused a little bit because you came here on April the 8th and did a presentation to us.
And the presentation that I presented was in reference to the Law and Leadership Academy. Again, I think we're a bit confused because the presentation that Thank you so much, Sheriff. The presentation that TaylorMade was making specifically on that day was involving their after-school program, and I think
So this presentation was never made to us, is what you're trying to say?
we didn't have enough time to finish making the presentation. I did the introduction of the presentation, but I think TaylorMade had taken up a majority of the time.
But we knew we were going to do this program this summer, right? But we didn't budget for it or something, correct?
Well, I'm not sure on your end how it flows, but on our end, I brought up the presentation to do it. Again, TaylorMade was making a presentation for an after-school program
Was
in
this
conjunction
budgeted? Was
with,
this budgeted?
in conjunction with, excuse me.
You're asking him a question that he cannot answer.
Okay.
No, this was not budgeted.
Okay, that's, because you're telling me I get the two programs confused, so I just want to make sure that I am straight with that. So, okay.
All right, Commissioner. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first of all, Sheriff Brown, I'd like to commend you for doing something that nobody don't really want to do in this community. And I know it's because you love this community, is to try and create a place, a safe space for our kids. A safe space for our kids. Rather than have them running around the street, breaking out somebody's windows, or breaking somebody's home, or doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And when you think in terms of $53,000, $100, and we throw it away on a heap of other projects that we shouldn't be throwing money away. One prime one, and this is me speaking, and I always get in the hot box, we spend more than on attorney fees. So to do something positive for our kids and our community, and we having a debate about $53,000, I don't understand it. I don't understand. I can't understand how could we as a board close down a community center that was did by spots years ago for some kids who need a safe space for them to play and learn. How could we do it? But we'll do it. We'll do it. And maybe because it's on their side of town, I don't know. Maybe it should be somewhere else. But I'd like to commend you, Sheriff Brown, for what you're doing for our community. And I don't see no reason why we shouldn't amend the agenda to give you that money. Because I know we had $6,000-7,000 fund balance. We took about $6,000, so we got at least $500 and something dollars that we could take out that $53,000 out of to do something really positive for our kids. And don't let that stop us. And this is my fellow commissioners. Don't let that stop us from doing something positive in our community for our children. Sheriff Brown came to us year after year, trying to tell us what we need to do in order to stop maybe gun violence, trying to tell us what we need to do in order to stop gangs. We turn him down, we got gangs. So let's stop trying to hinder him and let's support him on what he's doing for our community. Let's stop it. There's no money. I can remember one time, I'm closing on this one. We gave $5 million, correct me, Commissioner Stan, $5 million for unbudgeted fire station. I voted for it because the people wanted it, $5 million. And here we talking about, what, a few $1,000, $53,000? Come on, y'all. It don't make sense. Thank you.
Yes. Go
It's
ahead,
not the
Commissioner.
program I have a problem with at all. I think it's a great program. I think you're doing a great job. I just think, how do we fund that? Where do we get the money? If you tell me we've got it, then we can do it. I know it's already started, and the cart's behind the horse, so it is something that we're going to have to pay for because it's already started, and we need to have everybody in there. But it's not that we're not trying to do things for people. We got lots of kids in this community, lots of kids, lots more than this 80. I mean, I wish we could do something for everybody. We can't. I mean, government can't raise everybody's children. Yes, we have to do everything we can to help our community. But we also need to have, if we're going to do programs, we need to do other programs too. And I wish we could afford everything that everybody asks us for. We can't. It is getting crazy even working on these budgets, trying to figure out what we can fund and what we cannot fund. Taxes, people are being taxed to death. So to say that we're not wanting to do things for kids is not true. I'm just saying, where do we get the money? If we can be creative and get the money, then I don't have a problem with it. It's just everybody can't come and ask us for money. We have to be able to say, where is that money coming from?
Commissioner, you hit a sore spot on me when you start talking about taxes. Taxes, I pay taxes, okay? I pay taxes and probably pay more taxes than you. So I'm saying this. Let's not talk about that because that's a sore spot. I don't mind paying
Hold on,
taxes.
Sheriff. If we can keep order, please, no outbursts. I understand this could potentially be a hot topic, but if you can, please keep all of your comments to yourselves or quietly so that it doesn't interrupt our professional business meeting. Thank you. Go ahead, Sheriff.
Thank you. I wish that we could move on and make a decision. I think it's clear. As I said earlier, hindsight is 20/20. If I knew that we was going to have this program here this summer, perhaps I would have gone out, Commissioner Edwards, and raised the money, just like I always do. But unfortunately, we do not have the time. And all I'm asking you is $53,000, $116. That's all I'm asking you for, and it's for that 80-plus kids that we're dealing with right now. And I would assume probably before it's all said and done, we're probably going to have others that's going to be coming. And Commissioner Long and all of you, let me just say this. We're using electricity down there with the school system. We're using electricity. And we thank them. They're not charging us not one penny. Not one penny. So I think it's be so fair and befitting just for you all to show your compassion and love to this community by not just debating this, but just go on and make a decision. That's easy.
Before I get to you, Commissioner Edwards, I do want to put it out there on the record. I don't want anyone to think that there are no programs going on at all within our community, because there are. As a matter of fact, my 9-year-old is actually in a summer camp right now through our Newton County school system. My 5-year-old is actually in a program through McIntosh Trail right now for the summer. And so there are programs. I know when we took my son to Oak Hill for the summer program, I mean, the line is backed up. There are kids everywhere. And so our school system is doing a great job with providing summer camps for our kids as well. Now, whether or not certain kids are enrolled in those programs or not, I'm not sure, but I do know there are like 5 buses that's there to pick up kids every single morning and to drop them off. So there are programs that are going on. And I hear what everybody is saying. I don't think we don't want anyone to misconstrue. The board wants to promote helping and assisting our children. The responsibility of this board, the major responsibility of this board, is to make sure that we stay within a budget. That's our number one job. And so I think if we can find a way, as Commissioner Long is saying, if we can find a way within our budget, something that's not budgeted, and I know there are times where things come up where we do have to move things around to budget for certain emergencies that come up, we do have to do that. And so Commissioner Henderson had a valid point with that as well. But if we can find those monies, I think this will be a great program to be able to do that. But I do want to put it out there that there are definitely other programs out there, that this is not the only program. We did state, this board stated that they basically did have a policy in place. This board voted, and I know it's coming from the Office of the Sheriffs, but indirectly, because it looks like in here it's also in partnership with TaylorMade. So that is a part of 501c3 as well, which we do have a policy in place for that. I'm looking at some of the even the programs as well, and I do know TaylorMade has an after-school program where I think it's every Wednesday from 6 to 7 o'clock that over at Washington Heights, Washington Street. I'm assuming this 6-week program, and maybe you can answer this question, how are these children going to be able to engage in all of these programs within a 6-week period? And I also see here that there is staff salaries, $23,250. So what staff is going to be paid with these staff salaries?
Let me go back to something that you said earlier. When you said there are other programs in the community,
Right.
and you mentioned the programs,
Right.
and you said that so eloquent, I think that shows there's a need
Yeah.
in this community.
Right.
And I think that says that when there's a need, every child cannot attend the programs
Right.
that you mentioned.
Right.
I think that's where we are. I think that's where we are. There's a need for the program. And I know that you're targeting back on tailor-made, but this is the Office of Sheriff, and we have 6 different classrooms. We have when you ask the question, how can you fit all of this in 6 weeks? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Through planning, we have
Very comprehensive plan. We have 6 different classrooms where we're rotating these programs and services out on an hourly basis from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it involves a lot of moving parts along with organizers, sheriff's agencies, our fire and service partner who is with us, Chief Royce, fire service, EMA, 911, and so many more. The list goes on and on and on and on. Perhaps we are completing a very comprehensive plan that some of these other programs are not able to do, but because of planning.
And then the salaries, if you can address that piece as well. So who are the salaries going to if this is just the sheriff's office? Because I'm assuming if you have deputies that are already being paid through the sheriff's budget, where this additional $23,250, who is that going to?
I cannot give you the specific names of those individuals, but it will be paid directly to several different individuals who are a part of instructing the various classes there at the program. Had I known that you would ask for an individual name, I would have brought a list.
Well, I'm not asking for individual names. I'm saying, are these individuals outside of the sheriff's office?
It is.
Okay, so these are not
These
deputies or
are
not
no.
within the budget already?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think Commissioner Edwards, I think you had.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So, Sheriff, what is this a one-time ask, or is this going to be a recurring annual?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Coming before you tonight and what I'm receiving tonight, it's probably going to be a one-time. And probably what I'll do the next time is start out in advance and try to raise the money. That's what I'll do.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. So how far along are we with the academy?
We started yesterday. We started out with 75, 71 kids yesterday morning, and today we're at 86.
And okay, and my last question is, where you may have said it, but where these are classrooms in a school somewhere? Is that
Yes,
right?
Indian Creek Middle School. And what I would ask that some of you would do is, if you would come out and show yourselves worthy by just coming out and taking part. They need to see their political leaders. They need to see them. So come out to Indian Creek Middle School and maybe just take up one of the sessions and say, this is what government is about. This is what political leadership is about. And I believe there's a section on there.
Community leader.
Yeah.
Running as a mock election.
Yeah.
Campaign for commissioner.
So that in itself, if you look down at that last sheet, that in itself will tell you, we want you to come out and let's talk about politics. How to become a commissioner. How do you establish a campaign? The inner working of intergovernment, all of those things. So this isn't something that we just put together overnight. This is something that was, as Tim said earlier, was intensive and with great study and great individuals who are supporting us in this.
And I was going to add too, Sheriff, I think the reason why TaylorMade keeps coming up is because TaylorMade, the founder, is the one that stated this was her program and she was just partnering with you. So she stated that on a couple different public statements. She said that here. She said that at the Prairie Visual. So she basically stated this is her program, but you're partnering with her. So now we're hearing that this is actually your program partnering with her.
I think if you would read the last page of this, where it said Newton County Law Enforcement Summary Program, I think if you would look at that highlighted sheet, I think you would see that everything on here basically is tied into law enforcement. Now, you may see a couple of things that, cosmetology may be something that they could bring to the table, but when you look at the basketball clinic, we have coaches there at the sheriff's office. Career Day is something that we always participate in, so this program is designed to fit public safety.
Any other discussion? I'm sorry, Commissioner Henderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we spend a whole lot of time on just doing something positive for our community. And I've been accused sometimes maybe of talking too much, but somebody will stop my talking. Mr. Chairman, I would like the board to consider a motion to amend the agenda so that we may discuss or vote up and down the $53,100 as was mentioned by the sheriff for the Officer Sheriff Academy. What $53,100? $53,116 for the Sheriff Academy.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor to amend the agenda to move this item from a discussion item to consideration. Is there a second? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? That has failed 3-2.
Thank you. The program will run, okay?
But we want to continue to discuss that. Thank you.
I need to know something tonight. I mean, do we continue the program or do we just stop it?
So, that would be on you. I just know that the board has voted to not amend the agenda to make this basically a consideration. It was on here as a discussion. So what I would like to request is that we go back to our county manager, finance director, have additional discussion. And if we need to bring that back, then we can do so at that time. But we do want to definitely have additional discussion. But tonight, it wasn't amended to actually be on the agenda as a consideration.
Okay, is there a timeline?
What would you say, Mr. County Manager?
I will reach out to you, Sheriff, first thing tomorrow.
Now, I just want clarity. So if he reaches out to me tomorrow, do I have to come back here?
I think for consideration, yes. If this board has to approve the actual monies, then yes. Because tonight was just a discussion item.
This is not the first time we amended and voted on. So, well, anyway, it is what it is.
Okay. Thank you, all here.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next agenda item, item number 11. Newton County Water Resources requesting board approval for temporary funding for the water treatment operator trainee position. And this will be presented by Inyo County Manager, Mr. Brown.
Good evening again, Commissioners, Vice Chair. This is to prepare for a retiring employee that's retiring in August. We have an opportunity of hiring someone that has the same similar skill set, and to fulfill those needs, and also get trained in that position that retiring employee is set to retire in August.
All right, thank you. Seco.
This is a budgeted item, right? Correct? We have the money in the budget to pay this person?
Yes, and the Water Resources Department is enterprise funds, and we do have savings, salary savings that will fund this position.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure we make that clear.
If we can get a motion on the floor before we actually have discussion, that would be great. Okay, motion. And then we have a motion and a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? All right,
I'll
Commissioner
go
Long.
back to discussion. It seems weird that we don't have discussion before we do all that, but anyway. I didn't make up the rules. So anyway, so
Robert
yes,
did.
so
Robert made them.
it is budget. I just want to make sure, I know you have it on the sheet, but I just want to make sure that we have the funds available through salaries that we haven't used and all that kind of stuff. And then we have it budgeted for next year.
Yes, so we have an open position that was unfulfilled for this FY25. We have also planned for the temporary nature for this position in FY26 because of the retiring employee.
Thank you so much.
Any other discussion? All right, if not, all in favor? All right, none opposed, so that motion, or that item passed 5-0. Next item, item number 12, is an update to the Board of Commissioners on the opioid settlement presented by Mr. Jogg said it, okay,
Yeah.
and Ms. White.
Yeah, Ms. White will come up and talk about the numbers, and then I'll talk a little bit about the opioid settlement program generally.
Thank you. So we currently have a special revenue fund that is titled the Opioid Settlement Fund. So currently we have been receiving funds in that account for about the past 3 years due to multiple class action lawsuits on the opioid crisis. So our current fund balance in that fund is $512,736. That is what we currently have. We will also collect, I believe the first lawsuit was an 18-year period, so we will receive funding over the next, or over 18 years. So roughly, and the dollars amounts change yearly, but roughly between the multiple lawsuits, we should receive around $70,000 annually in funds. So right now we have a little bit of balance that is built up because it's been coming in for roughly 3 years, but then that amount will dwindle down to about $70,000 a year. And we've also been working with a committee of various people, and so we've been discussing on the possible potential ways we could spend these funds.
And to follow up briefly on that, under the settlement agreements that generated these settlement funds, there are restrictions on the use of the funds. You can't just drop the money into your general fund and spend it on anything. It has to be spent on programs targeted towards the opioid use disorder and the problems resulting from it. So things like treatment of opioid patients, education of your first responders to deal with opioids, opioid-specific drug prevention programs. So everything has to be sort of focused in on the opioid crisis. And it's a fairly expansive use, but the short version is the program must be targeted towards opioid use, treatment, and prevention. And my understanding is there's been a lot of effort at your staff level to work with community partners and stakeholders to identify the best places to put those funds, and at some point it'll come to y'all for final approval.
Thank you, Brittany and Patrick. I think Commissioner Edwards had, and then I'll get you, Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. If I recall correctly, this was like a 2017, maybe a 2018 class action lawsuit that we had to vote to join in on, if I remember correctly. Is that
There
right?
have been multiple class action lawsuits, and they're sort of grouped by manufacturer, distributor, like that, and the settlements have come periodically, and they actually have long-term payouts, as Brittany mentioned.
One other thing, so before I give up the microphone, so if I could offer any guidance, you know, I don't know, you have to project out the money we'll receive in total and how long, right? So any programs that we buy into or help fund, they have to be sustainable in some manner, and not just go away overnight, because we want to use the funds as for their intended purpose. So you guys are smart enough to figure that out. So I just wanted to throw my piece in there. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
You're welcome. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I was when it first started, one of the commissioners who had kind of voted with that particular suit as far as receiving money back from the big pharma companies that distribute opioids within the community. And I think they had noticed there was an addiction, you know, and this one was prescription drugs, you know, and it was a lot of health issues that was kind of with that, and mental health issues, and so we had to do, we wanted to join in so we could get money back in order to help maybe the hospital, mental health, or et cetera, to try and give those people who was addicted to those opioids help. The thing that, and the reason why I asked Patrick last meeting to kind of bring this up and give us an update, we don't need to forget about suits like that, and have to be accountable as far as what's in those accounts, and then look a little bit into the future and see how we might spend them too as well. And I'm just going to say this is a heap of stuff that happened to our county, like Newton County, you know, that we don't know too much about it until it actually happened to us. Like BioLab, we didn't know too much about BioLab until the smoke came over here, not once but twice, and we never even tried to say, well, how many people in Newton County was affected by it? How much damage did it cause to our property? Or like ethanol oxide coming from the plant that almost buried the housing projects and the other community behind it, and caused a lot of damage. And so right now I hear that those people maybe some of the people who receive $1 million suits. So, which I mean, it's not about the money, it's about damage that occurred to us in a community that big companies should be accountable for. And so if we don't, the commissioners don't look out for our folks, our people in our community, then who is? I'm looking for somebody, and you can't find nobody but us. And let's stop being quiet and look at the future of our community and what can we do in order to make it a little bit better. And I think that's one of the things that we've done early on in order to make our community a little bit better and in order to help the needs of our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Patrick. Next item on our agenda is item number 13. Public Works is requesting the board to authorize the chairman to execute agreements with Newton Trails and the town of New Bern to complete the Cricket Frog Trail from Ziegler Road to the New Bern Town Park. They're requesting 2 intergovernmental agreements are required, and that will be presented by our Transportation Director, Chester Clegg.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
You're very welcome.
The town of New Bern has requested that Public Works help them with their finish up the trail on the east side. It ends at Ziegler Road and just kind of dead ends, stops there. The New Bern would like to have it end at their new park where they're putting bathrooms and just kind of have a logical end to the trails. So they are proposing to pay the county to all the direct expenses to basically grade and pave the remainder half mile of the trail. And, we would provide the equipment and labor for just a few days. Probably take a day to pave it, and a few days to grade it, for the town of New Bern. So,
All right. We need a motion for it. So I'll call for the motion.
So moved as stated by the transportation director.
Have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and we have a second. Is any discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. How much would it cost? Maybe I know they're gonna pay, but what's the?
it's, we estimated about $70,000.
Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Long.
Okay, I guess it's back to money again. I'm gonna be the money lady. So 70,000 that we don't have budgeted.
Well, the town of New Bern's paying the 70,000.
Okay, so they're paying the 70,000. It's not written that way, so that's why I'm confused. It's written that.
Yeah, so we're gonna,
Oh, yeah.
so we have an agreement, they've already, the mayor's already signed it.
Okay,
And,
so Newton County's not paying
well,
70,000 out
we're
of
gonna
our
buy
money.
we're gonna buy the gravel and all the materials, the asphalt, and then they're gonna write us a check back for all of the
Okay.
direct expenses.
That's why I
Now,
was
if it
making
goes
sure.
over 70, they're gonna pay
I
that
don't want to turn
too,
somebody
so-
down for 50,000 and
That's
then
right.
turn around and give you 70,000. So
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Chester.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, we have a motion and a second. All right, no additional discussion. All right, all in favor? I'm sorry. There'll probably be a question for, want to know if we need to change how it's written.
No, we're approving the IGA, and the IGA spells it.
Great question. All right, all in favor? All right, that item passes 5-0. Thank you, Chester. All right, the next item on our agenda is item number 14. Public Works is requesting the board to authorize the chairman to execute a construction services agreement with Triple R Paving and Construction LLC for the completion of the 2024 LRA resurfacing project. Looks like that's you again, Chester.
Triple R got they submitted the lowest bid, which was $951,000 to resurface. I think we're doing High Tower Trail, Marble Drive at the quarry, I think Fincher Road. And we've checked them out, and I was not familiar with Triple R, but they are GDOT pre-qualified. They have the equipment to do the job, so we are recommending that the board approve this contractor to do this project.
Thank you. I'd like to call for a motion. Have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, that passes 5-0. All right, the last item is Public Works is requesting board approval to submit the Newton County 2025 LMIG project list to the Georgia Department of Transportation for 2025 local road assistance funding, and that's Mr. Clegg as well.
Yes. This year, our allotment for the LRA project, like last year, it's a little bit more this year. It's $1.9 million, and it's coming directly from GDOT. It's an extra allotment that they're giving us this year like they did last year. The gas tax has been, the receipts have been good this year, so they're giving out some extra money. And so this is on top of the LMIG money that we've already received earlier in the year. And so I have attached a project list for it's all resurfacing, and requesting that the board approve the list so that I can submit the project list to GDOT for the grant.
All right, thank you. I'd like to call for the motion. Have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So Chester, you mentioned and I haven't pulled looked in the back here. So you mentioned a list. We got a list a couple weeks ago, right, of LMIG projects. Is this an addition, is this gonna be
That's-
additional funding?
This is additional
And
funding.
additional roads will be paved?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
And
Vice
there's
Chair.
no match. This is all, they just, a free grant.
Outstanding.
Thank you. Commissioner Law.
Just like everything else, we need money, money, money. And, you know, there's a lot of roads out there that you and I talk about, we all talk about that need work on them. I get yelled at regularly about roads and everything, and I appreciate you doing a good job. And I know, unfortunately, we just can't pave every single road every day. And I know our citizens don't understand that. And we're trying to do the best we can. I know you guys go out and y'all look and see, you know, based on qualifications of timing of different roads. So I appreciate everything you guys do. I mean, I wish we could do every road, just like we could fund every project, but we can't. And that's our job, is to make sure that we are good stewards of the taxpayers' money. And I will talk about taxes. I'll always talk about taxes. And I appreciate that very much, what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you. Just I was going to ask real quick as well, the additional roads, will we get a list of those as well so that we can make sure that if we as commissioners are asked questions, we'll be able to answer those as well?
We can go.
Oh, it is there? Okay.
And we
It's
can,
in the back.
we can post that, once it's approved, we can post it on our website as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
Just offhand, Chester, can you tell me, they all listed by districts, correct?
Yes, sir.
So how many is in District 4?
Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
6 out of how many?
More than me?
You know what I'm saying? 6 out of how many roads altogether is about 30?
Yeah.
We tried to split it up, you know, per cost, try to split the money as evenly as possible.
Okay.
So some districts have fewer roads than others, but the overall mileage is very close.
And you're absolutely right, because mostly District 4, I think another district, I think District 4 is third of, is mostly in town, that which the city cover and take care of, and then a little bit is in Pordale and somewhere else. But anyway, thank you, Chester.
Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chester, I was looking at the list, and I see a lot of on this list is north of I-20 in my district. Is there going to be any on the other area, like Fairview, Kirkland Road area? Is that any plan anytime soon? Or?
Well, now we've got, you know, those other lists, we kind of, that we've got some projects in those areas, so I can go over that with you too, to see what we've got on so this is one of like 2 or 3 lists that we got active right now. So, and if there one or two that you really feel strongly about, then let me know, and we can look and see if we can work that in.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Henderson.
Quick comment. I have maybe if Mr. Cooper, District 3 Commission, can work in a couple. Can I work in 1 or 2 too? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. So all in favor? All right, that item passes 5-0. Thank you, Chester. All right, now we move on to item 16 for our citizens' comments. At this time, if we have any citizens that would like to come up and make any comments, you can comment on anything at this particular time. You have 3 minutes to make your comments. Feel free to come up at this time. And if you can, state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Danielle Jones. I live in Iris Brook Subdivision. Frustrated does not begin to describe what I feel right now. As I listen to that exchange regarding the summer program, the only thing that I could think while sitting there was that if Sheriff Brown's request had been to expand the jails to house more of the children that he's trying to host a program for, there probably wouldn't have been as much discussion. or if he needed more cars to pick up more of the children that he's trying to put on a program for, there wouldn't have been as much debate. And that's infuriating. That's infuriating. I have 6 children there, 5 black boys. Ask Sheriff Brown how many people he picks up that looks like my boys right there. Ask him that when he calls you or when you call him. We're in a county where most, if not all, of the schools are Title I, where 90% or more of the children qualify for free or reduced lunch. There are summer programs in this county. To my understanding, they go until 2 p.m. and they're limited. So if you are a parent who has to work and you still need something for your child to do, that child still has that idle time, and that's the most dangerous thing for a person or a human being who all they have to be doing to be arrested or killed is be breathing. That's dangerous. Idle time is dangerous. I'm there with those kids, and I know they need that program. To be clear, the staff that's being paid is not people who are working with TaylorMade every day, not the people who are spending money out of their pocket to fund other parts of the program, not the ladies that are there nights, weekends, doing what needs to be done to get the programs together. It's camp counselors. It's other people that we need to help put the program on. These children need this program. If I recall correctly, and I don't claim to 100% understand the way that things have to be funded, but I do recall hearing that there's an overage, or there has been money left over in previous budgets. I recall hearing that. I do also recall being at a meeting where this board funded at least $50,000, if not more, for, I think, a baseball tournament, a temporary weekend program. I'm disgusted and infuriated. Disgusted and infuriated. I cannot imagine why there would be so much offense and outrage at the sheriff's office putting time and money into doing something positive for the children that I'm sure he picks up every day, as opposed to just picking them up. I'm not sure why anyone would be so offended by that. But perhaps if that offends you so much, maybe talk to my boys on the way out.
I'm sorry, your time is up. Thank you.
Marie Million. I live off of Jack Neely Road in District 3. I gotta take a deep breath. I actually had to just walk outside and calm myself down, because this whole issue with the law and Leadership Academy, it really upset me, because a few months ago I was here and money was approved for the Miracle League. And I don't feel like there were all these questions. And while I understand there may be other programs in the community, we have a lot of kids that don't have anything to do. I'm the president of my HOA. I see kids walk from other communities during the daytime. Today I was watching a kid who had to be like a teenager come in with like a 5 or 4-year-old. We need things that are cost effective, that the kids could do, that can, suck up their time and let them learn that, there's other things to do than cause mayhem. I mean, we look at even like the shooting that happened in I think it was District 2. You wonder, like, did these kids have opportunities to go to camps and do things like that? So if the sheriff is coming up here one time asking for something, I felt like it could have been approved. And this still goes along the line with like the West Side Youth Facility. We have a $4 million grant that's about to expire. We should use that money for the children. This is ridiculous. We've had a surplus last year, and so there is money there. We need things for the kids to do. I just don't understand why these things are not getting approved right away. We see that this area has changed. There are shootings. There are break-ins to cars. If kids had things to do, I don't think that their minds would be on this kind of stuff. And I also have to say this, because sometimes I come up here and then I hear that, we come up here and we're upset. I'm not upset for myself personally. My kids are in constructive things. 2 of my kids are adults. So when I'm coming up here, I'm not coming up here as a parent with young children, because I only have one teenager and she's in gymnastics. Sometimes I don't come here because I'm busy with her. When I'm coming here for other parents who don't have the opportunity to come and speak. So please, when it comes to things for the kids, really think about it. We have a community that's changing, it's growing. We want smart growth. Part of smart growth has to start to include thinking of things to do for the children. And that's all that I had to say. Thank you, good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments?
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Tina McCrae, Dr. Tina McCrae from 80 Village Glen Drive, Covington, Georgia. And I'm coming to speak about, I saw Chester Clegg. I've been talking to him for a few months now regarding the Westfield Village area that is Village Glen Drive, the streets there. So he just talked about talking about this $1 million that he got approved for all these different streets. And I've been talking to him about the fact that Westfield Village did some things. The builders, Pulte real builder, put down speed humps that they weren't supposed to do, and they took those up, speed bumps, and then they had a four-way stop that they weren't supposed to have. So the four-way stop was removed, and it's right by a playground. Here it is summertime. They removed the four-way stop and left the white line down so people don't know whether or not to stop or not. And I've been talking to him about it. He's been ignoring us in our community. And then I see him talking about these streets that need to be paved. I've asked him, he said, well, it's ground down. I showed him a picture. I was like, you can still see that white line. And people don't know whether or not to stop or keep going. Somebody's child is going to get plowed down right there. So I called and talked about it, and they said, well, if somebody, what it's going to take maybe is somebody to die before this gets looked at. And it should not. This is a shame. The Pulte builders have been doing terrible stuff. I talked to David Lane in the planning department. I feel like the planners did not do it right by us in that area as well. Pulte put up a mailbox kiosk where when people come in to see how nice and new the homes look, they have it all covered and everything with lights. But the one for us, we have to go 3 blocks to our mailbox in a wooded area, no lights. I sent pictures to David Lane about this. There's no lights. There's 2 bodies of swamp water, and there's benches where Pulte has made it look like it's a park, and it's the runoff. And people are coming from Kirkland, cutting through people's yards, sitting over smoking weed. Somebody's found condoms over on the ground by our mailbox. It is not safe. The neighbors have been calling Chester and calling David about this, and nothing's being done. And Pulte told them that the mailbox kiosk was an amenity. We're told that we have to go to that spot to get our mail, and they told them it was amenity, and they didn't have to fix it until after all of that development is done, which is 2026. So we have to be unsafe until 2026 because they're claiming to get my mail as an amenity. That's not true. It's not fair, and I'm bringing it to you now because I did my due diligence and went to them, and they're not doing anything about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good evening, Board. Maya
Good evening.
Allen, District 3. Since we're talking about Mr. Clegg, he and I had a conversation a couple of months back regarding the sidewalks and the money that is supposed to be spent in the Fairview corridor. So we can start there with that discussion. There should also be trails. I'd like to call Dwayne Mask to task for the Fairview Park. Last month they did put up a fence. I don't know if any of you all have had a chance to go by there. The fence does encompass the park, but there are no gates. So there's open spaces. Not sure what that is supposed to secure. We're also looking for cameras, just like the other parks. We also discussed closing that entrance off and creating a new one so that people aren't cutting through our yards to get through the park. So again, Commissioner Cooper, if you need some help, we're here, and we're still looking for the town hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Well, I think you have. Okay, you come on. Either one of y'all decide.
Good evening, Commissioners. James Peterson, 70 Crooked Creek Way, Covington, Georgia, 30016, District Number 2. You're looking at the budget. I brought to you several ideals, and I hope that you incorporated in the budget. Number one, there was $60,000 that the budget manager didn't apply for from the Hurricane Relief Fund. You know, the $60,000 worth of overtime. Yeah. And then the use of the P cards. We need to seriously look at that. I would estimate about $30,000 of taxes that we paid on the P cards that could have been used for other projects, maybe for the one that was discussed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, esteemed board. I know, Mr. Chair, I'm supposed to address you, but my comment is for Commissioner Henderson. And the reason why I'm coming up here, because I always say there's a difference between a politician and a public servant. And I want to give you your flowers while you're here. I know people know that we're friends and we have a relationship when I sit on this board, but this has nothing to do with friendships. Sometimes when we speak up and speak out, we get criticized, we get scrutinized. And I want to thank you for speaking up for this community and constantly speaking up for the children of this community, the seniors of this community. You have been doing it for umpteen years, and I'm not being funny, but you have been doing this for years, and I want to thank you. We have a surplus. I sat in that seat and heard the surplus. You had your finance director sitting back there when the question was asked, how could we fund it? You had the finance director in the room who could have came up here and told you where the money is. She's supposed to know where the money is. So that's the problem I have. So, sir, to you, constantly keep speaking up for this community. Sometimes we feel like the Lone Ranger. Believe me, I know, I've been there. You're going to feel like the Lone Ranger. They're going to call you aggressive. They're going to call you all types of things. But guess what? In the long run, God is going to bless you for speaking up for this community, no matter what. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And those that come behind you will see the fight in you and continue to fight with this community. When you step in office, you're supposed to step in office to serve the community, not yourselves, not your friends, not certain people, not give contracts to certain individuals that you want to give them to. And that's the problem I have with elected officials. And I spoke up and spoke about that every time I sat in that seat, and I would never stop. Once I left that seat, I continued to do the work. And I applaud you for everything that you're doing. And again, I'm giving you your flowers while you can smell them right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from our citizens? All right, if there are no additional citizens' comments, we will go to our board comments. Commissioner Edwards. Thank you. Commissioner Cooper.
Yeah, I was just going to, I am working on a community meeting latter part of this month. So I'm trying to work out the dates on that. So I am definitely working on and so I can hear some of the concerns in the district.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, friend, for that nice comment. And for those of you who may know me, I've been doing this for, 7 years, 27 years, going on 20. I'm sorry, Commissioner Long. I'm sorry, we've been knowing each other for 20-something years, and I remember when we first got elected, we know one another. And in between then and then, we kind of were full apart, but it's all good. But the thing that I've always spoke up for about the seniors, our children, and about how we spend our money from this board, Horseshoe, in our community. I never have asked for too much other than a piece of the pie to be spread around amongst all of us. And what we seem to get is just the crumbs or nothing. Once again, it's another year that came around that Nelson Heights Community Center is closed. We've been lied to about there was supposed to be a tent, so when the children get ready to feed them, they won't be out in the rain. So I guess that's just, it's just common. And I want to commend Chef Brown for being chef. He didn't have to worry about the poor children in here. He swore an oath to lock people up if we do something wrong. And he's trying to do preventative measures for our children. Preventative. Trying to keep our children out of jail. Trying to keep them out of jail. I've seen children get killed that I knew. And here we talk about a little minute amount of money. That's all. So, but let me say this, and I'm gonna close with this. If we don't do something, ain't nothing gonna get done. So I want to invite those of you who want to do something. Let's get together and bring it to the board. Let's bring it up into the horseshoe up here and let them know that we care about our community. Because right now they say if we don't care about it, they don't care about it. We got to show them that we care about it and we're mindful of how our tax dollars are being spent. And if we don't do it, they ain't going to do nothing. They'll criticize me and talk about me and start investigations on me. Stay 3.5 years and then another 6 months on nothing. $250,000 they just gave away to the lawyers, same ones up here, the farm at least. I won't put that on you, Patrick. Gave it to them to try and put me in jail on lies. But the good news is that I know a God that sits up high and look down low. And I will not sit up here and allow my people to be did wrong. We got to be held accountable for that $4 million for District 3. He shouldn't be giving back. He should be spending that community. Come on, y'all. Commissioner Sanders worked hard to get that money here for that community and for it just to be given back, to be given away. We got to stand up, y'all. If you're ready to stand up, call me, 770-896-3826. And if you don't stand with me, I stand by myself. It'll be just Jesus and me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Long.
Thank you. I just want to draw your attention to fellow commissioners there. I did send you the email that we got from the Taylor Made Foundation on April the 7th. I had that information in my email still about this program where they came before us that day, and hopefully we recorded that meeting. I don't know if we did record that meeting, but we have minutes from it, where they came and they wanted to do the camp, and they were going to do it in conjunction with the Sheriff's Department, but they were the one making the presentation asking for the funds. We did not get that request through the Sheriff's Department because they came for something else. We got that through them, and it was determined at that time that we could only pay the 501c3s $2,500 because we had about 10 or 15 of them here that day that wanted lots of money. So it was determined that that was the policy of the board. So I don't want to make it out and be belittled by the sheriff or anyone that we're not giving money to programs. If we budget the programs and we do them correctly, we can have as many programs as we need to have for everybody. There's a lot of things that we can do. We can get a lot of corporate sponsorship for a lot of programs that we need to have. So there are things that we can do, but I did want to bring that to your attention for all of you to review that email again. I think some of us remembered it, but if we didn't, I don't even know if you were here then, about that program. I am fine with any programs they want to do. We just have to budget them correctly. We are charged here at this job to do what's good for the taxpayers' money. I do want to make a comment on the $4 million grant. I've been asking about that grant since I got here, and it's from my understanding that we never received that grant. So I would like proof so we can share that with everyone that we did not get that grant given to us as it's being stated in every single meeting, that like we got $4 million we sitting on and we hadn't spent it. Because my understanding, and if I'm wrong, that's fine. I want to be able to speak on it and say I'm tired of hearing about it and making us look like we're not doing anything with money, when it's my understanding there is no $4 million that was received by a grant. It was not approved to be applied for or something like that. I'd like to have all the details so we can share those details. The other thing is, like I said, I mean, we have a hard job to do here, and everybody knows that. We have a hard job. We're spending taxpayers' money. I'm going to be terrible for y'all when it comes to being this taxpayer money. I'm going to be tight. You know, citizens are just stressed to the max. We want to have every program. There's so many programs we want to have. We want to do everything. We already found out with Splosh that we're going to have to go back and do something now because we can't run all these programs that the Splosh gave us. We can't have all these different programs and try to fund them because we will be raising people's taxes through the ceiling. I'm not doing that. So we've got to sit down and we've got to come up with ways to do this, and people just can't get mad when they can't get the road or they can't get something done. We are trying. We cannot do everything. So we either have to come up with ways to do it or we have to change. I mean, I'm all for going back to the voters with the Splosh and putting it out there on the next election we have and saying, this is how we have the money allocated, and we want to change how we allocate the money coming in. I don't know if we can do that. We'll have to talk to legal about that. I'm all for that. Because we cannot afford to fund all the things that were in that last Splosh and keep the M&O of the county going. We opened a building on Geiger Street, which I thought was the dumbest thing. So now we have another building further from here that we have to maintain, which is more money. We should have just added on to the administration building in that courtyard. And then everything would be under the one roof here. I wasn't here. There was probably a reason for that. I don't know what that is. But I just think that we're adding on things and we're not really thinking through the total repercussions of adding things. So in this budget season, I ask all my fellow commissioners to please look at every line item and let's try to cut and let's try to do what we need to do for our taxpayers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'll close us out. I just had one announcement. On June the 20th, I'll be doing my Juneteenth movie in the park at Denny Dobbs Park. It is family oriented, so the kids can come out, the parents can come out. I do this. This is my 4th year actually doing this, and I thoroughly enjoy having this for the community. And it's not just for District 2, it's in District 2, but we have residents that come from Rockdale, from DeKalb County, from Henry County, from Porterdale, from all over they come. We had an amazing event, movie in the park in May, celebrating Cinco de Mayo. We'll be celebrating Juneteenth, and then we'll be doing back to school celebration movie in the park in July. And so I love doing these events. Primarily, they are for the kids to give them an opportunity to do something. I've really done my best to invest in Denny Dobbs Park. The skate park is there for the kids. It's filled all the time. I see kids on the basketball court all the time, every single day when I pass by. I see kids at the splash pad. By the way, the splash pad is now opened up at Denny Dobbs Park, and it's filled up almost every day. I think it's open every day except for Mondays. And so we do have things for our children, and we want to continue to add more things for our kids. And so I don't want it to be stated that we don't have things for our kids here in Newton County, because we do. And if we add them, we want to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible for anything that we are adding. And I don't think this board doesn't want to not add additional things for our kids. We definitely want to do it in a fiscally responsible manner. With that being said, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned.